Do you know that Minnesota has a Confederate flag? Or how about that one time they were outnumbered 5-1? A lot of people don't. Let's fix that. April 14th, 1861. The governor of Minnesota at the time, Alexander Ramsey, was visiting D.C. And he found out that the South attacked. So he immediately went to the Secretary of War and was like, hey, I got 1,000 guys for you. What do you need? And just a couple days later, the Adjutant General of Minnesota put out an order saying, hey, we need more men. And he got his men. Oh, he got his men. Because you got to remember, this is 1861. Ain't a whole lot going on. I mean, you got farming, and you got hunting. So all these men were like, fuck it, why not? And on April 29th, 1861, at the newly reinstated Fort Snelling, all these men enlisted. Jumping ahead to July 12th, 1861, the 1st Minnesota encountered its first major battle at the First Battle of Bull Run in that's how you spell it, Virginia. And they kicked ass. They were so badass, in fact, that they were one of the last regiments to leave the field. And they suffered one of the highest casualty rates, with 49 killed, 107 wounded, and 34 missing. And Colonel Franklin was quoted as saying, the regiment behaved exceedingly well and finally retired from the field in good order. The other 2 regiments retired in confusion. Now onto the big one, the Battle of Gettysburg. July 2nd, 1863. The 1st Minnesota was there on the 2nd day of Gettysburg. And at this moment, the general, at the time, Major General Hancock, had roughly 250 men. And there was 1,200 Confederate soldiers that they had to fight. So you want to know what happened? Major General Hancock looked those leaders in the face, dropped his pants, whipped out his Hancock, and asked if they were ready, because they were going to fuck them up. And Hancock didn't know that his men were going for it. They managed to stop the Confederates from advancing and giving the Union enough time to come and reinforce. I mean, 250 versus 1,200 men using smooth-bore rifles. This is what they were using. This. And for those that don't know, this is the Springfield Model 1861. It is the smooth-bore rifle. And they whooped ass with it. But their victory was short-lived because General Hancock noticed 2 brigades pushing through the front line. He's like, well, fuck. We gotta do something about this. I mean, look at this man. Tell me you wouldn't follow him in the battle. So what does this amazing man do? Well, he rides up to the front and it's like, who are you with? And these men said, we're with the 1st Minnesota. So he knew he was good at hand. He ordered them to charge. They leveled their bayonets and they made a charge. They still held them back. But on the negative side, 215 of the 262 men were casualties of these 2 charges. We got 47 killed, 121 wounded, and 47 missing. It is the 2nd largest loss of any surviving U.S. installation in a single day of engagement, which is wild. Now for my favorite part of this story, the Virginia Infantry flag. 28th Virginia Infantry to be more specific. A young private by the name of Marshall Sherman managed to steal this flag. And if you don't know, during the Civil War, these were the most important thing you could have on the field because it identified who you were and who was occupying the land that you were attacking. And he received the Medal of Honor for this, which is still fairly new at this point. And Virginia still wants his flag back. But Minnesota told them no. And Governor Jesse Ventura actually was quoted as saying, why? I mean, we won. And this unit right here, the 34th Infantry Division for the Minnesota Army National Guard, traced their roots back to the 1st Minnesota. back to the Battle of Bull Run, if you remember from earlier in the video. Now, with all of that being said, I think that the 1st Minnesota is one of the best units from the entire Civil War. If you disagree, go ahead and let me know what unit might be better.